Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, bringing you set 3 of KT Rolster versus Air Force Ace. And I realized at the end of last set, between the two, that I hadn't gone over the change in the format of the Pro League series, and there was just so much that happened this offseason that I'm trying to dole that out in doses, but this is one of the most important aspects of the changes in these individual series that I actually apologize to not bring it up. But they're no longer best of 7s that we were used to last year. They are best of 5s, which is why this is the potential sweep game for KT Rolster. But more importantly than that is, well, comparably important. I would say more important, actually, particularly for KT Rolster. More important is the fact that there is no longer an ace match. The 5th game is just a regular set that, and the same player and a player that played in the first 4 sets can't play in the 5th set. So it's just a 5-man roster, and you have to go. It's a best of 5. There is no ace matches in the Pro League this year. So I think that really hurts a team like KT Rolster that's top heavy with Flash, the Bonjour, and helps a lot of the deeper teams. So the theory is that they went from a best of 7 down to a best of 5. I have no idea. I actually have no idea. I can't read Korean, so I can't like look up anything. But my suspicion is that they were trying to cut down on the time of games. Possibly they were spending too much time on games, and they wanted to devote more of their network time to other things. So they dropped it down from best of 7 to best of 5, and then but they still wanted to allow new players to play. So they wanted to make sure that 5 different players got to play each series, which is only 1 less than they had last year when you would have 6 different players playing each series, and potentially 7, but really it was only 6. So yeah, that is the big difference in the match setup, and 2 drones going out here already for the Zerg player, and this is actually going to be Hoejja for KT Rolster in red, the Zerg player sending out 2 drones, the scouting drone and the 12 hatch, and then in the top left corner for Air Force Ace. And actually, before we get to that, that is a interesting little cake. Is that someone's birthday? I don't know. Maybe they're just celebrating. Oh, they're champs from last year, so maybe this is how they celebrate. They stick it in everyone's faces. Like most teams, when they win, they come in and they like raise a banner, or they play like trumpet fanfares. And KT Rolster's like, here, we have cake and food and candy. Be jealous. So I guess maybe it's that, but I don't know. Maybe it's someone's birthday. Maybe it's just a celebratory nature, something like that. But whatever it may be, and yeah. But on the other side, for Air Force Ace is Piano or Organ, whichever you know him as. I'm probably going to call him Piano. That's what I've always called him. So Piano in the top left in brown, the Terran player. And this is actually a great moment to tell you about Fantasy Pro League. It's back this year, so I hope you guys all made a team. And unfortunately, this video's out way too late for you to make a team if you haven't. So again, I'm sorry, but yeah, Fantasy Pro League is awesome, and the reason I bring that up is that Piano is actually on my team. He's a 2-point player, so Piano is on my team. He's my captain at 2 points, so I'm rooting for him to go ahead and win this game and give us some more, at least one more set in the series, as well as get me some points for Fantasy Pro League. That'd be pretty awesome. So the other players on my team, if you're interested, even if you're not, you can just cover your ears. I have Jangbi and Light, of course Jangbi. I have Light, I have Piano, Best, Shuttle, and Effort, who's making a comeback. So those are my 6 players, and then my team is Woongjin Stars. I was debating between Woongjin Stars and Samsung Khan. I ended up going with Woongjin, so we'll see how that turns out for me. And then my anti-team is actually Fantasy, Modesty, and Flying. Since there's no ace match, I figured that Fantasy would actually be a relatively safe choice at 8 points. He's inconsistent, so he might hurt me at times during the year, but overall I have a feeling that he'll go about 50-50, which is what he usually does, and hurt me a little less than some other players, or similar to other players that are lower pointage, and then the other two just don't play much. But back to this game. This is a Piano is going 1 rack CC, and he is putting up a bunker as well to play a little bit defensively here. And the second hatch at the natural space of the 12 hatch is going to turn into, it looks like probably a 2 hatch muta build here, with the main hatchery turning into a lair already. But the SCV does get a scout in, so he does see this, and some Zerglings actually for Hoejja are going to bust up the ramp here of Piano, and 3 of them actually do get through, killing a Marine and an SCV. Going for another Marine, not going to get it, but they are going to get a nice scout in here, and Hoejja actually sending in a bunch of Zerglings, and is going to be able to keep up his scout. Needs to keep them moving. Come on, Hoejja, get your multitask going, and this is the first game of the year, and once again, and the rust is showing. The Lings aren't always moving, and the Lings are starting to attack bunkers when they need to go up the ramp. They need to go. What is he doing? Hoejja, the rusty little Hoejja that he is, unfortunately losing a couple Lings there a little bit sloppily, and yeah, this is just one of those things. It's just beginning of the year. I can't think that this is going to keep this way. Just a little bit of rust. It's like the first game of any of a football season where players are missing assignments. You see more false starts and more penalties and things like that. It's just one of those things that happens, unfortunately. But you're still hoping for some good games, and we definitely should. And yeah, definitely no game defining mistakes yet in these early stages. A little bit careless, but that's about all. We do have the second spire, or not the second spire, the 2-hatch spire getting going. That spire is about halfway done. Second extractor looks like it's about finished as well. And Hoejja actually setting up for a third base at the lower left-hand corner, so playing it pretty safe and pretty standard here. He's going to get the mutas out for some map control, get that third base going, and it's a pretty standard ZVT strategy and pretty standard TVZ strategy going on here too. Nothing untoward, nothing creative at this moment, nothing out of the order. This style of game, you would not be surprised to see this basically exact same game played 3 years ago. And yeah, which is actually when I started commentating. I think it was 3 years ago. I think I started in 2008, maybe it was 2009, 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, this is definitely the kind of game you'd expect to see. TVZ being one of the most stable matchups in the history of Brood War. There really hasn't been, I mean, there have been innovations, of course, Valkyries, you see tanks versus science vessels versus, I mean, nowadays you see a little more mech, so there have been innovations, but for the most part it is a pretty stable execution-based matchup, which is pretty cool in that in that aspect, that it's pretty stable and not as quirky as a lot of the other matchups, but yeah. Just wanted to point that out. First mutalisks are out, so we got 6 out right now for Hoejja. Gonna go and get on the aggressive here. Some missile turrets here, but not a whole lot of missile turrets quite yet, and they're kind of all spread out, not supporting each other at this moment. So Piano's missile turret placement, I gotta say, I'm not the happiest with it. Could still work. He's got enough of them coming up in the next moment or so that he should have enough, but they're not really all supporting each other. Usually you like missile turrets at least in groups of 2, and Hoejja going in there with his mutalisks, not able to pick off that SCV, so that SCV surviving with, I don't know, 4 health or something like that. And that third base for Hoejja is completed, and he cancelled the extractor as he was in the process of placing it down. Actually, it might have been that he was making another mutalisk, so like while the drone was building the extractor, was like, oh wait, we have insufficient gas, so we can't do that. And yeah, Hoejja's probably just going to wait and then put that down. And Hoejja doing a pretty decent job here. Picks off a missile turret as well as a couple of Marines. Needs to be pretty careful here. Just pick off 2 more Marines and some good swoops there. Light swoops. Doesn't even take any shots on his Marines. That's actually really impressive. We have some Hydras out as well, so Lurker aspect should be very close to done. And those Hydras are going to go to about the ridge. This is Sniper Ridge, by the way. Basically, I don't even know what to call it. It's got a reverse and counterclockwise swastika instead of a clockwise, whatever you call that, a reverse swastika, a half swastika in the middle, made of ridges. And the lurkers on this main ridge, right outside of the natural expansion. If you can get a lurker contain going there, it's going to be really hard to break. The vision is just stronger for you there. It basically covers all avenues of retreat. It's really good contain spot. And those mutalisks for Hoejja, a little bit careless there, flying them over into those Marines, and actually loses an extra one that he should have. But those Marines do have their stim going. They do have their medic support, so they are feeling a little bit frisky here, pushing out and looking for an engagement. And as long as the medics are around, he will be able to at least be decent here. And Hoejja trying to use this ridge as the Marines are actually split on that ridge, so it's actually a really good timing by Hoejja to attack there, while the Marines were going to have a little bit of pathing errors, and picked off a few more Marines. And the Marines are actually going to get to the third base before the lurkers do. And a nice scan coming in there from Piano, picks off one of the lurkers. So Piano actually fantastic here. He's actually in between the lurkers and the third base, which is huge. A couple of lurkers on that ramp would normally defend it, but Hoejja was thinking about getting aggressive with those lurkers, and that actually put on a contain rather than play defensively, and that actually is going to play into this game pretty hardcore. He could actually lose this base at the bottom left. He has managed to hide his drones into a corner, so he hasn't lost the drones yet. If he can defend this, he should be okay to keep mining there, but he does lose another Overlord there, and this is actually really scary for Hoejja, and really unfortunate for him. And that Queen's Nest is at risk too. He placed that Queen's Nest in the front, so that Queen's Nest is at risk. A bunch of drones just went down, and now the mutalisks and the links come in, a lot of mutalisks come in, so they will be able to clean this up. But that bottom left base does go down, and on the other hand, Piano does lose one of his forces of Marines. In reality, that is not a good trade for for Hoejja. Losing that third base is so important. However, Piano doesn't see those drones at the bottom left, so Hoejja could retake that base pretty quickly and start mining from it again. Now we see Hoejja and those lurkers again, maybe trying to catch this medic marine group and try and take it out, which would be really, really smart move on his part. If he can take it out and keep that medic marine count low, which is one of the most important parts of ZVT, is keeping that medic marine count low, that he'd be in really good shape, and that is exactly what he's going to do. There's only a couple marines left, and he can just AWOC into them and take them down, take out the medics as well. So that's actually pretty good for Hoejja there. And now we've got the lurker contain. Kind of. It's a pseudo-lurker contain. He's not quite on the ridge yet. But where do these Marines come in? The Marines come into the natural expansion. I didn't even see them on a minimap. I don't know where they came from, but they get into the natural expansion and actually doing some damage, picking off some drones, and now they're going to start picking off overlords until the Mutalisk can come back. And, yeah, so there's some damage being done here by Piano, playing very aggressive with small units of medic Marines, and not standard at all. That is not normal. Usually you wait for a big ball of medic Marines, but Piano being a little bit aggressive here and actually picks off a few drones. Maybe picked off an overlord or two as well, so not a bad decision there. There is always the concern that he's not going to be able to build up that medic marine ball, but he does get a scan on all these lurkers, so all those lurkers are going to go down, only losing a couple of marines. So Piano in fantastic shape right now, and Piano is looking, that was a great play by Piano, and so he's looking like he's trying to take the driver's seat in this game. Still has to deal with those Mutalisks, still needs to probably get a science vessel out, or yeah, Science Vessel is really going to be the way to go to deal with that, and needs to keep his medics a little bit closer to his Marine Ball. I think that's Cal on the right, and we've seen him a couple times in the series. I think that's Cal, but he looks different with his hair and that suit. It's just hard to tell. Just not the best at telling these things. We do have a couple tanks out, so the tank's actually coming out ahead of the science vessels, so he's going to really put on the pressure on the natural expansion, and yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do with these medic marines, and he needs to get his medics with his medic marines. He needs to get his medics with those marines. Come on, Piano, he needs to get them together, and he's actually going to get in here and try and take down the lurkers before they're able to burrow. A couple of them do burrow, and some of them are still morphing, and will he be able to take them out? He will take out one of them. Will he get the second? Yes, he will, but two more coming in here, as Piano was unfortunately wasting shots on lurker egg, still wasting shots on lurker egg, but he does manage to get down the third. Just one lurker left, as well as the one egg, and that will probably let him get a contain on, but he does not have a huge number of medic marines here to support those tanks. So if Hoejja can develop a little bit of a force here, he could actually push out and take out those tanks, and that's exactly what he's going to do here with just a couple of lurkers, and he is going to manage to take down that tank. Yes, he is. So, yeah, both players just working with small units. We're not seeing the usual buildup that we see in TVZ, ZVT, where you see the buildup of forces and you see kind of like these huge balls trying to get flanks on each other, trying to maneuver around. We're not seeing that in this game. We're seeing a lot of small unit tactics, which is pretty cool. I actually like it. I actually think it's pretty fun to watch. A little bit of change up there. Defiler mount is completed, so we're looking to see some defilers pretty soon to help him defend and push out against these tanks, which will obviously be very, very important as well. A medic marine group going down to the bottom left again, and they are going to stop that base from going up. Actually, that base is already up, so that's unfortunately going to be a waste of 300 minerals. And a drop coming in here from Piano, and it's going to be a marine and medic drop, and this could be devastating for Hoejja. I don't know if he has the money to really deal with this, as well as defend his front, and it's just 8 marines actually, not even going to get any medics, and he's going to go straight for the spawning pool. Let's see. Actually getting drones, and there's GG from Hoejja. Doesn't want to deal with the harassment anymore. Piano gets the win, helping out my Fantasy Pro League team, helping us all out, because now we get to see another game. So thank you very much, Piano, for everything that you do to make sure that we get more StarCraft to watch. That was fantastic. We're gonna head on to set 4. Yeah, and we'll see who gets to play in set 4. I'll see you guys all there. That was pretty awesome. Piano, well played, sir.